Title of this video is It's Coming. And it is. I look at a few boards and they'll always point towards these like prepper tubes, and every video is the same. It's and I don't watch them. I've seen a few of them. Like, oh, the Earth's magnetic poles are about to flip, or it's the end of civilization. I can't stand stuff like that. Those are done for clicks. I've never, ever planned a video thinking, ooh, this will get a lot of clicks. I've never done that. I don't have that intention. Even after 8,000 some videos, the videos that I really like, I think they're rather complicated. A lot of people just they don't like them, and the ones that speak from the heart, I guess I need to make more like that. People really like. So it's hard to predict that. It should be about innocent information transfer, talking to people. You read their comments, get feedback, you get sent information from various places. So we got 12 days until a selection. You notice I use the word selection. I'm not saying what's happening in 12 days. You could probably put two and two together. By the way, 3 national security sources confirm, this is confirmed, that a nationwide I'm going to use the word attack a la cyber attack against America is widely expected to be carried out by the intelligence agencies. They're actually doing a drill on November the 4th through November the 6th. Those days are slightly important. I'm trying to remember what happens on November the 4th through the 6th. What happens again? Yeah, it's the armed forces, by the way, also of the United States, are reporting transmitting a staggering number of EAMs, or emergency action messages. This week there were over 35 on this Tuesday, a couple days ago, 62 yesterday. On a typical day there might be 5 to 10. But they are having a drill. Well, it's supposed to be a drill on November the 4th through November the 6th. They actually have plans in the case of a cyber event. I'm going to use the word cyber event. Called continuity of government. In case everything goes down, the government is fine, whatever you think of them one way or another. They have a continuity plan, actually several redundancies of continuity of gov, but people don't make preparations for themselves for continuity of family or continuity of yourself. And this is called the AFCEA. Homeland Security plans a super large-scale a cyber event. I'm going to use the word event again. Simulation between November the 4th through November the 6th. And I can't remember what happens on those days. I'm being facetious, by the way, right now. I don't know if they're going to blame solar, because right now there's a major CME, coronal mass ejection. I don't know if they're going to blame a cyber event. I don't know if they're going to blame Persia. Of course, Persia goes by a different name now. I think you know what Persia's current name is. I actually practice what I preach. I've actually not only been crazy busy the past 2 weeks, I've been finishing. The only thing I'm actually lacking are very, very few things that are extremely cheap. I don't actually have hardly any iodine tablets and a few other. I don't think that's going to happen, but since they're so cheap and I know where to get them from my buddy who has a lot of surplus equipment, I should actually go pick up some iodine tablets from him. I have an enormous amount of iodine swabs. But I'm as prepared as it can get. I have a couple cabins and a bunch of land in the deep woods, and it's quite remote, and everything's stocked up there. I know what these people are planning. you know, all you have to do is read between the lines, and it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to do that. Gordon Chang, I don't know if you know who he is. He said everybody should have enough food, water, and medicine for months, preferably no less than 3. One thing most people don't mention is water filtration. When our infrastructure goes down, it very, very likely to stay down for a long time. I can't believe you have 35 EAMs on Tuesday, over 35, and over 62 yesterday. What they have planned is, of course, is to create a problem and introduce a solution to fit their agenda or plan. By the way, the FDIC is broke. They have less than 1 penny for every insured dollar. This, of course, is a part of the Great Taking, as it's been called. Banks are insolvent. The the Fed is insolvent. The FDIC is insolvent. Quadrillions, trillions actually, countless trillions in derivatives. U.S., of course, creates something like $200,000 of debt every partial second. So less than a second, over $200,000 in debt. That's over $10 billion a day. By the way, BRICS met, and there's an appearance, there's pictures of it online. Putin was showing it at the BRICS summit and announcing the terminal nature of the United States dollar. This won't be allowed to happen. Whatever you think, and kinetic conflicts are always used and always have been used to reset things. It kind of reminds me, a couple kids were playing chess, and one of them is beating the other one, and the one kid gets really upset, and he just sweeps the whole board with his hand, and so nobody can remember where all the pieces were. It's like, there we go, it reset it. You know, he was losing, like a little spoiled child. I can't remember what movie I saw that in, but that's exactly what NATO and the U.S. government, inseparable entity, are planning to do. They're not going to let that happen. It won't be allowed to happen. There's only 2 ways to do that. One, nobody's going to accept, essentially nobody. That's digital currency. And the other one is conflict. And they have one of those 2 options, if not both. And it seems extremely apparent that they've chosen the kinetic option. WW3 now seems absolutely inevitable. On what scale that manifests, I don't pretend to know. Got a lot of inkling, and so do you if you've actually had your head on a swivel. The U.S. will not let loose of, and/or NATO, let loose of global dominance and the standing of the U.S. dollar. A lot of people, including most people, confuse money with currency. I mean, if you got money sitting in your safe, if they replace it with digital currency, it becomes worthless. If they devalue it to the point that it's useless, then it's worthless. So I beg you to take, 10 seconds while you're taking a shower or driving down the road to your work to consider the distinction between money and currency. Most people, they say, what's the difference? I mean, most of us suffer from that issue. So this seems to be inevitable. By the way, there's something on the order of 5,000 increasing rapidly of NK troops. I hope you know what NK stands for. NK troops are training in Russia. And I'll let you have less than one guess what those NK troops are training for in Russia. There's an inseparable bond between Putin, i.e. Russia, and NK. America now, unfortunately, is a bit of a banana republic. Of course, typically a banana republic has a society that is extremely stratified with social classes. It reminds me when I was in Chicago. I never saw so much social stratification and uppityness. We don't actually have that here in Kentucky. I find that very peculiar when I was in Chicago a few times. I mean, it's like you fit into a niche, and that's where you are, and that's where you will stay. We don't have that here. I mean, I hobnob with, I'm not bragging, I mean I do. They like me because I never ask them for money, and number 2, I know a lot of stuff. I hang out with these mega millionaire people, and they hang out with, they shop at Walmart. They don't have, they got a lot of money sitting in the vault or in the bank and an enormous amount of real estate. But you know, if you met him, you would never know. And if you saw him, you're like, this guy's wearing Walmart clothing. You know, he doesn't have any money. It's like, no, that guy is. Yeah, if you lived 100 lifetimes, you wouldn't have as much money as that guy that's wearing Walmart clothing. I know a few people like that. So Kentucky is very different. So this banana republic that is slowly forming, and of course, a true banana republic doesn't have any middle class. You either got the dirt poor and you got the super rich. I saw that firsthand living in Russia also. You got this large, impoverished working class and a ruling class, plutocracy, composed, of course, of business and political, and that's not capitalism. Most Americans and Europeans confuse capitalism with corporatism. So this ruling class elite and the primary sector of the economy that's under sharp stress of exploitation of labor. I can't believe what's happening, and it's coming very soon. I don't know if it's going to be blamed on solar or cyber or blamed on Persia. Wink, wink. The details aren't important. I notice a lot of people get befuddled by details that are unimportant. As long as you know the flow of things, you don't have to know all the details. I'm a big picture sort of person. I've always been a big picture sort of person, and I can see the big picture. What people think, and I call this the illusion of choice. I'm not going to elaborate on that any further, but if you heard the words and you understand English, you know exactly what I said. It's not going to be allowed. You know, the gears of the big machine that everybody's railing against, at least everybody that loves truth and natural order and normalcy, whatever you think normalcy is. Most people know what true normalcy is. I can't stand it when people say, "What's normal?" Oh, I can't stand that. Normal is loving nature and natural order, truth and justice. These are just words, obviously. I'm not interested in the words. I'm interested in the truth of it. People say, well, you know, what's normal? I can't stand it when people say, don't ever say that to me, by the way. It won't be allowed. And there's going to be a period of time within a very, very few number of days coming up where a lot of people that have been intellectually in idle gear because they've just been so busy trying to pay the bills and work and feed themselves and or feed their family, they're going to have that moment, like, I forget, what was it, Emperor, no, it was Yamamoto? I think it was Yamamoto, I could be wrong. After the Pearl Harbor, in December the 4th in Pearl Harbor, and I forget, someone said something to me, he said, I fear all we have done is awakened a sleeping giant. And I think there's a sleeping giant of a zeitgeist of America, and I don't know what that percentage is, but it's something over 60%. And it's going to be like December the 4th after Pearl Harbor, you know, where the giant, you know, is going to get awakened, and people are just going to see, you know, like, what's actually happened. Like, you know, I've always been a person who's interested in seeing farther than everybody else around me. When you could do that, then you can make maneuvers for yourself and your loved ones. Because, like, you know, I've stood on the shoulders of, I've taken a lot of information, and I'm interested in the big picture, not all the minutia, because people get bogged down by minutia. And if you can see the big picture, you can see what's coming. This is the brilliance of both retroduction and analytical Greek philosophical analysis, that you can really delve into the heart of very, very obscure things to most people and see clearly. See the big picture, which is incredibly important, and a lot of people can't. But BRICS, you know, this coffin nail to the US dollar, posed by the new banknote that they're showing around, they're showing the sample around. It won't be allowed. And I'm not talking about Joe Blow, U.S. citizen. I'm talking about the U.S. GOV. I'm talking about NATO, that shift in stability. It won't be allowed. It will be exactly like the two kids playing chess, one kid's winning, the other kid's a little brat, and he just like sweeps his hand with shoop. Well, I'll fix that. You know, I know you're about to win, essentially. Not that any words were said to that effect, so I'm just going to wipe the board. We'll reset everything. That's underway right now. By the way, I wanted to talk very briefly about Hungary. If you don't believe me, let's talk about the president, however, the prime minister of Hungary, that's Viktor Orban. He made a speech just yesterday that the EU is seeking to topple his government. I don't know, I've always wanted to go to Hungary. I used to know some Hungarian people. I don't know where they went to. They've vanished in the years since I've known them. But I've seen a lot of videos out of Budapest and Hungary. Very calm, peaceful, idyllic, like 1940s Switzerland. Not precisely, but pretty close. Idyllic, everything's going happy. You know, there's a lot of really good stuff happening, and I saw an interview of Orban like a year ago. Anyway, he said in a speech yesterday that the EU is seeking to topple his gov and install a puppet, this is him talking, not me, install a puppet regime in Central European country, an escalation of open hostility towards the bloc member considered Russia's closest ally. Anyway, it was speaking of thousands of supporters in Budapest. Orban was marking Hungary's national holiday commemorating the 1956 uprising against the Soyuz Sovietsky Socialistic Respublika, SSSR, the Soviet Union in English, by the way, for those of you who don't speak Russian. That began in the capital and spread across the country, of course, before being wrecked by the Krasnaya Armia, that would be the Red Army. Orban has used the holiday, which looms large, of course, in Hungarians' memories, as a statement of freedom against foreign domination. Independent Hungarian politics are unacceptable to Brussels. That would be the heart of the beast, shall we say, of the EU, Orban told the crowd, referring to EU headquarters in Brussels, Belgium. This is why they've announced in Belgium that they are going to get rid of Hungary's national government. Isn't that presumptuous? Yeah. You know, of all the Europeans that are always picking on the United States, yeah, which, you know, I'll accept any or most of those criticisms as long as they're valid. There is this gigantic, multi-headed hydra beast in Europe that is telling an independent, sovereign country that's feeding and taking care of its people and has peace and normalcy to a greater extent. I mean, it's not Switzerland, but I think I'd rather visit Hungary than Switzerland, to be honest. Not that I visited either one of them. I visited Czechoslovakia once. I'd love to go back. That was the most beautiful place ever. Actually, the most beautiful place I've ever seen is Yalta in Ukraine. Been there a few times. Get rid of Hungary's national government. They've also announced, the EU, that they wanted to have a Brussels puppet gov hanging around the country of Hungary's neck. The EU, to nobody's surprise, has withheld billions and billions in financial support from Hungary over its alleged breaches of the rule of law. So, yeah, Brussels is dictating how Hungary should take care of its own people? I mean, don't you consider that extremely totalitarian and very, very slightly, and by slightly I mean extremely evil? Some of the bloc's lawmakers repeatedly propose stripping Hungary of its voting rights over this democratic backsliding. I mean, see, they're trying to impose totalitarian rule over a country that's not theirs, and yet they're accusing Hungary of democratic backsliding. Isn't that the pot? You know, isn't that amazing? I was going to say the pot calling the kettle black. EU parliaments declared in 2022 that Hungary can no longer be considered a democracy. The EU declared that of the sovereign country of Hungary for wanting its own autonomy and independence and freedom and to take care of its own people the way the people wanted to be taken care of. I mean, how come nobody talks about this? Well, I mean, no American, Europeans probably do talk about it. They're probably afraid to talk about it. But, I mean, Americans, I mean, do they know this? They couldn't even find Hungary on a map. I could find it blindfolded on a map. When I tell you that the illusion that you have of what's coming up, and I use the word illusion very specifically, I'll let you decipher that. It's not hard to decipher if you got 5 brain cells. I mean, any alternative that you hope and wish for, you know, it's rather, unfortunately, delusional. You know, you're not going to let a wrench be thrown into the mechanics of this totalitarian reset program. Not that this is a wrench, this is a digital caliper. Close enough, kind of looks like a wrench. The point I'm really trying to make is that it is coming. How that will manifest is like one of 4 to 5 possibilities, and I'm not going to name all of them. Because to do so, you know, you say, oh, people would accuse me. It's like, oh, you said this was going to. It's like, no, no, no. You can look that up on your own. My point is that every government, especially the United States government, it's got continuity of government and it's got multiple backup redundancies. What is your continuity of yourself and or your family and your loved ones? I mean, do you have a plan? So those who fail to plan are planning to fail. Remember that one? Chance favors the prepared mind. Remember that one? What sort of plan do you have? I mean, it's a serious question. I mean, I could just make videos and I could think in my own head, but I don't. You know, well, I'm already prepared. You know, I'm prepared to the hilt, and I am. I don't give a hoot and heck about any. You know, it's their problem. A lot of people think that. I've harped on this endlessly because I actually do care. You know when you see all these people, like someone suffering on the side of the road and everybody drives by, it's like, it's not my problem. Yeah, look at that. I'm the person, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal and saying this, I am that person. I'm the person that stops and gets out of the car and, you know, sticks my neck into the melee, you know, trying to help somebody. Everybody's like, look at that. They keep driving by. They don't stop. It's kind of like those people, like someone's screaming in the street. It still happens in New York City, apparently. It used to be super huge. Someone's screaming in the street, help, help, help. And then, like, everybody opens up their windows and they stick their head out in New York City. Shame on you, New York City. They stick their heads out and look at that. That's terrible. Look at that. Not only do they not help, they don't even call the popo. Like, hey, 911, yeah, I'm on street XYZ, there's some bad stuff going on down there. They don't even pick up the phone. Now, to a southerner, and I am a southerner, we find that extremely revolting. So, I actually do care. I mean, you don't want to be caught off guard like the French bread makers, like the tanks are rolling down the streets of Paris, huh? Frère Jacques, dormez-vous? You're sitting there rolling the bread, and even the child with the lollipop on the street. I think I saw this in Team America. There's a little kid with a lollipop. You know, it's a little puppet. He's like the innocent. Even the kid can see the tanks rolling down the street, but you're sitting there rolling the bread. Like, you know, you got your headphones on. La, 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 la. It's not funny. A lot of people like to live that way. To me, people like that are shocking. They not only do they not know, they love not knowing. I don't know that. I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. These are the people, there's 2 types of people that cross the roads. Really, there's 3. And you've seen them. I've seen this a million times myself. Yeah. Someone like me, they look both ways, and they start to step out in the road, and they look both ways again, and then they cross the road. Person 1. Person number 2, they don't care if there's a car coming 100 miles an hour. They walk out there, they don't look left or right. Those are the people, like, I don't care, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. They say, you know, it takes you like a half a second to turn your head both ways and see if you should be crossing that road. You've seen that. I've seen it. Everybody's seen it. And there's a lot of people that are approaching this the same way. They're walking in the street and not looking both ways. I mean, they don't have a continuity for themselves and or their family. There is an inevitability that gets revealed more and more, kind of like opening up the curtains on a movie. Like, I can see a little bit of it. I got a hint. I know what's happening. It's like, I could be wrong, and you see a little bit more of it. Yeah, I'm fairly certain. Once you get the curtains about 80% open, you know what's happening. And right now, here on October what is it again? October the 24th, the curtains are 95% open. Some people are still sitting in the, chewing gum and scrolling through their phones. It's like, I find that extremely shocking, but that's me. I beg you to be prepared and to see what's coming, because it is an inevitability. The BRICS replacement of the U.S. will not be allowed. There's a lot of things, and this is as specific as I choose to be for good reason. There are a lot of things that are, you think are like around the next turn, but they won't be allowed. And I can give you a million reasons why they won't be allowed, but there's no use of me doing that. So tell me what you think. I read every comment. I need to get down to my cabin, honestly. I haven't been down there in a couple months, actually over a couple months. I need to do a few things down there. Every time I go down there, there's just a bunch of chores. I need to weed whack around my solar panels and winterize the cabin. I got a newer cabin that has a toilet system in it. You got to winterize the toilet so when the water freezes, it doesn't bust the toilet. Winterize it. Just pour some antifreeze down the toilet, essentially. Stuff like that. Nothing exciting. I would love to relax, however. Never get a chance to relax. Have a lovely week. I hope you enjoyed the article that I published yesterday for free download. Everything I write is for free download. Everyone to contact me, my information is in the description below. Have a lovely week. But I beg you, get ready to whatever degree you're capable of. If you're sitting there watching cartoons or a Seinfeld rerun, think about spending that time a little bit more wisely. But that's up to you. Thanks.